Here's my summer market report. I'm gonna do it a little bit differently. First, I'm gonna tell you the top home sales on Lake Martin and the top lot sales on Lake Martin and where they are. Then I'm going to explain to you the overall market and what's going on, the numbers of sales. And then lastly, I'm going to tell you what this might mean to you. There might be a trick in those numbers if you only look at the headlines and don't look a little bit more deeply. I'm John Coley with Lake Martin Voice Realty, and I do these market reports all the time. So if you're finding value of these, just subscribing to me on YouTube is the best no-cost way that you can show me that I'm giving you value for these videos and to keep up with the Lake Martin real estate market. All right, so first let's go over the home sales and what are the highest home sales for the month of June and July. And this is important because this is the summer, we're a waterfront home sales market, and so most of our sales happen in the warm months. So we pay close attention to what's going on in June and July. Okay, so what were the top 3 home sales at Lake Martin in the months of June and July? Number 1 was a $5.8 million sale right here in the Ridge. I'm gonna write this kind of sloppily. Right here was number 1. It was about a $5.8 million sale in the Ridge, and that is on the central side of Lake Martin near Chimney and Acapulco Rock. What was number 2? The number 2 sale was about a $3.75 million sale, and it was in Willow Glynn. So Willow Glynn is on kind of the northwest side of the lake, just west of Highway 63 and where Russell Crossroads is right here. That was number 2. And the number 3 sale was back in the Ridge. It was a $3.6 million sale in the Ridge right here. So if we just had to go 1, 2, 3, it would go the Ridge at 5.86, Willow Glynn at 3.75, and then back in the Ridge for $3.6 million house. And by the way, the $3.6 million one is number 4 overall for the year of 2024. But for looking at June and July, of the top 4 sales so far this year in Lake Martin, 3 of them in the months of June and July. Okay, what are the top 3 lot sales on Lake Martin in the months of June and July? This gets really interesting. I think lots in the month of June and July were some of the most interesting places to look for market activity. So what happened? The top 3, they all happened in the same neighborhood called the Heritage. Okay, and the Heritage is Russell Land's, the developer's new subdivision that is in this area. This is Young's Basin right here. And anyway, here's where the Heritage is. You may have heard of the Cord and Crenshaw golf courses designed there called Wicker Point. This is the same spot right here, but so we had 1, 2, and 3 all in the Heritage for June and July. The top sale was $2.7 million for a lot in the Heritage. Number 2 was also in the Heritage, and it was $1.5 million, and number 3 was $1.4, but again, they're all in the Heritage. So here's Highway 63. This is the Ellick City side of the lake. Highway 63 goes down to Kalijah Bridge, and so this is where the Heritage is. And so I made our little notes earlier of where we had our home sales. But it's going to be really interesting because I'm going to get to the numbers a little bit later, and we're going to really focus in on the big news about lot sales for this month. Okay, just to give you a little bit better close-up. In the Ridge had 1 and 3 for home sales, and Willow Glynn had number 2 home sale, and then all of the, I mean, my scribbling probably ain't gonna help you much, but all 3 of the waterfront lot sales in the Heritage. All right, here are our numbers for July sales and inventory. Okay, really interesting here. All right, so we see that in the month of July, we had 26 home sales, and this is all agents, all brokerages, all over the Lake Martin multiple listing service. 26 waterfront homes closed. Compare that to last year of only 15. So we had a 62% increase in waterfront homes sold. Now, that's a little bit different of a trend that we've seen from last year. How does that compare to year to date? Year to date, this big month put us up about 10% as compared to the prior year. So sales-wise, we're tracking above 2023. Interesting. However, the counterpoint to that is inventory. The bell we've been ringing for the last year and a half now. Finally, some people are starting to agree with me and look at the inventory number. Look at our inventory right here. we had 205 waterfront homes for sale on the MLS in July. Compare that to 133 last year. We see that inventory is up about 54% from last year. You say, okay, well, you're just cherry picking, maybe looking month to month. Well, no, I always like to look at our 5-year inventory trend. The 5-year average of Julys, the last 5 Julys, not counting this one, is about 163 waterfront homes for sale. This year of 205. That's 26% above our 5-year average. This is the 4th or 5th, let's see, about 4th or 5th month in a row where we've been above our 5-year average. We haven't beat our 5-year average in inventory probably since maybe 2017, 2018. That's why this is notable, and that's why I think the slight increase in our sales are counterbalanced, because right now the market does not feel hot. It feels like a balanced or maybe even a buyer's market in some segments. I don't know. I also want to point out in 23, August was a huge month in 2023. I don't think we're going to have that huge a month. I think we're going to probably lose to the prior year for the month of August. So I think this is probably going to average it out. When I'm standing here looking at August numbers with y'all next month and a half or so, I think this is 10% will be pretty much flat. So, that's why I think that we've got, I think we have a potential to have kind of a seesaw year for 2023. Like, I looked back at the numbers, and this is how if I look at 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, and then 2019, if I go back and look at those histories, like this is how the home sales market went in that 5-year span. And obviously we all know what happened in 2020. It just went off the charts because of Corona. But I'm thinking we're kind of setting up for a similar position this year, because we were a little bit higher in 22, then a little bit lower in 23. I think we might be a tad bit higher in 24. Are we setting up for a home sales kind of seesaw of the next 3 or 4 years? Obviously, only time will tell, but with the increasing, one thing we didn't have back then was increasing inventory numbers like this, so it's going to be interesting to see how all that works out. Okay, here we're talking about waterfront lots for June and July and year to date. What's happened, and this is where it gets really interesting. You really have to pay attention. So let's see what happened. All right, so for the month of July, I focused in on that one because that was the big change. The month of July, this is what in the MLS, 25 waterfront lots were sold. Compare that to 6 last year. I think that's a 300% increase, something like that. Hugely different, okay? July year to date for 2024, we have 54 waterfront lots sold as compared to 33 this time last year, a difference of about 64%. All right, and as compared to the inventory, 82 versus 73, an increase of about 12%. So when you have sales numbers that jump year to date 64%, inventory is only up 12%, that's what makes this month so interesting with waterfront lots. So what happened? I dove down, I didn't have to dive very deep to figure out what happened in July. And the answer is, like it has been for 2 years when something, an anomaly happens with waterfront lots, and that's the heritage. Russell Lands, really our only large developer on the lake, released and sold and put a lot of phase 3 lots in the MLS in the month of July. And so that's what caused this big aberration of things hitting the sales all at once. Now, so I call it like a data dump, right? Like they put in all their sales, not all their sales, they put in several sales in there to see what went, and they put it in, and I don't blame them, they're not doing anything nefarious, but they're putting it in there so that we'll have good data, so I don't blame them. But these are all phase 3 sales in the heritage that's sold by the developer. So these aren't civilians selling these lots. As a matter of fact, I took a look at the numbers of the 25 sales in July, and I'm just going to do this right here. Let me see here. Let me get my numbers. 17 were from Russell Lands, 4 were from Alabama Power, and the remaining 4 were from what I call other or civilians. So those are 17 of that's 25. 17 of them are in phase 3 of the heritage. 4 is from Alabama Power, and they're not a developer, but they're really the only landowner, because I've said before in previous, please go backwards in my videos, and I explain the land ownership situation at Lake Martin. It's very strange. Really, we only have 2 big landowners, and that's Alabama Power, a utility company, and a development company called Russell Lands. And so these two landowners sold 21 lots last month. That's odd for us. That's odd for Alabama Power. It's odd for Russell Lands with that many in there. Civilians only sold 4. So if we took all those out, we'd really only have 4 right there. But we're glad as an agent, as an independent agent, I'm glad they put in the data like that because we can see what's happening, and it's more data is a good thing, right? But you just got to remember, and you got to realize that in July of 24 they put in 17 phase 3 developer sales, and that caused this data dump. That caused this huge aberration right here. And if you'll remember from a little bit earlier in the video, that's where 3 of these top sales came from. I mean, the ones in the Heritage were the $2.7 million sale, the $1.5 million sale, and the $1.4 million sales, and there were several others in that price category. So if you look at days on market for these 17 lots that they sold, they all have 0 days on market in there because they put them in for data purposes. Which is fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, but if you're just looking at the headlines and you're just kind of skimming the top level information, you don't realize that because that's 0 days on market, because like these for Alabama Power have honestly been for sale for quite a while, and they have like 70 days on market. These civilians sold, I sold one of them, we had about I think 100 days on market, so pretty normal stuff. But when you have 17 out of 25 with 0, it throws your averages way down. That's why I always caution people to look beyond the headlines, because you got to figure out if this is what's going to apply to me. If I'm thinking about selling my property at Lake Martin, if I have a lot and I look at only the top headlines and I don't delve down and see that phase 3 of the Heritage, it makes up 17 of those 25 sales, I could make some radically different decisions. Similarly, if I am thinking about buying a lot at Lake Martin or buying a home at Lake Martin, and you're looking at the way the wind is blowing, and you look at only these headlines and think, okay, wow, 17 out of 25 sold at 0 days on market and they were well above $1 million, you could get a totally wrong picture. So that's why I always counsel, hey, I love these numbers, but I also love to help people figure out what do these numbers mean to you and to your decision, because that's what I like to do. I'm John Coley, and I sell real estate here and have for a very long time. I've helped hundreds of people sell and buy their Lake Martin properties, and I'd love to help you out. If you are considering that, I'd love to help. Just give me a call or a text. This time of year, I'm helping a lot of people kind of see where their property, what the year has done, and if you're curious as to what these market moves might mean to the value of your property, just give me a holler, and I'll come out. I'll give you an idea of what I think the value would be. It doesn't cost you anything, and if it makes sense for you to move on and explore selling it, great. If not, that's great too. Also, right now I'm helping a lot of buyers. I just talked to a person that's coming from Arizona. They're coming into town the end of next week, and I'm helping that person learn about the market. I'm helping that person kind of learn about Lake Martin in general, and that's fun for me too. So if you're considering making a move to Lake Martin or investing in Lake Martin, I'd love to help you out too. My name is John Coley with Lake Martin Voice Realty. And at the very least, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that is the best no-cost way to let me know that I'm giving you value. And please check out, I'm going to link some of my other previous videos here. So please check those out too. And hopefully they'll help you out. Thanks a lot.